Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name's Catherine and today we're going to do a loose expressionistic beach. So I've just sprayed some water onto the paper. I've also drawn a little bit of the beach with a pencil and a wax crayon. If you've seen some of my videos before, you know that I love to use a wax crayon as a resist. So here I'm just brushing in very loose burnt umber with a little bit of burnt sienna in it, just for the beach. We're going for the big basic shapes here. So the biggest shape on the page is the beach, and then the sky, a little slice of sea, and then a tiny bit of headland. For the sky, I'm just using my trusty cobalt blue, usually with a little bit of sienna or umber or another sort of brownish colour in it just to grey it off a little bit. Up in the right hand corner, that's a stronger, juicier wash of cobalt blue, so it's got less water in it and a bit more pigment. You can see some of the wax resist playing through in the sky. Going back in, the beach now is damp, and so I'm just washing in a little bit more of the beach in slightly different colour, maybe with some sienna in it, putting in a little bit of the dunes in the background. And as I say, just experimenting with the brushwork, the gesture, and varying the colour a little bit. Just because we paint loose doesn't mean it's a free-for-all. We still want to be a little bit intentional about our mark making. But we are focusing on capturing the essence of the subject without being constrained by precision and detail. But the area that we do want a little bit of detail is actually the hill. We want a little bit of precision there, and we want a little bit of precision in the sea. But that's balanced by the lack of precision and detail in the beach, of the foreground beach. And we will be doing some spattering on the beach, so you'll need a sheet of paper to mask off the rest of your painting. I don't tend to use a sheet of paper, and then I'm always disappointed because I get spatter in the sky. But this time round I didn't, which was a bonus for me. So as I say, we're just putting a little bit of detail into the far distant hills, and that's a mixture of burnt umber, burnt sienna with a little bit of cobalt blue in it. And as the hills recede, they do get bluer and fainter, so I've put a little bit more cobalt blue in those very far hills. And I've got a reservoir brush, which has got a bigger belly and a finer point, which I use quite a lot in my seascapes. Find it very useful. It's got a nice pointy tip, but it carries enough water and colour in the belly of the brush. And a little bit of natural sienna, burnt sienna mix going in for the dunes. And now I've switched to a flat brush. It's probably an inch or a 3/4 inch brush, and I've got some burnt sienna which I'm washing in over. You'll have noticed there was a bit of a run in the paint in the beach on that first wash, but as you can see, as I lay in some darker colour, I'm not lifting that the paint underneath, but certainly it's not going to be a problem. And in fact, it'll add some sort of visual texture, so I don't worry too much about that. But darkening the foreground does give a sense of perspective as it pushes away into the distance. The values get a little bit lighter till you hit the hills. And then this was sort of water that was laying on the beach, so it's reflecting a bit of the sky, a bit of the water washing over the beach, so I've just put a very light cobalt blue mixture on. And then the wave line was created by a wax resist, and so there's always a little bit of shadow underneath the waves as they break on the beach. Just putting a bit of that in. So we've got some quite subtle variations of colour going on within the beach and within the sea. I'm using actually a bit of ultramarine blue in the sea as well as the cobalt. And in the background I've probably got a tiny bit of cerulean or a viridian green mixed in. So we've come to the spattering, and as you can see I didn't get my piece of paper, but because it was right at the lower end of the paper, the sort of the foreground, I didn't feel I was in danger of spattering the sky as well, but do be careful. And the spatter is going into wet paint, so it spreads out a little bit, so it's not hard and fast. In some areas it's actually gradated itself out, it's eased out within the water that's already on the page. And then just a little bit of detail, shadow on the beach. So the composition is basically the beach, the sky, the hills, and a wedge of the sea. So it's very simple. So four or five areas that make up the composition. A little bit more detail. The spattering creates the texture. We've got the detail, a little bit of the extra rocks going into the sea. And now I'm spraying off a bit of water, pure water, onto the sky because I felt I wanted to darken it up so that wax resist can show through as sort of some energy lines, some cloud lines. So we're pretty much at the end. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you have a go at a very simple beach and hill scene. And I'll see you next time.